Welcome to IGC 1 Element 2. Today we're going to be looking at how health and safety management system works and what they look like. Our learning objectives are as follows. We're going to be able to give an overview of the elements of an occupational health and safety management system and the benefits of having a formal certified system. We're going to be discussing the main ingredient of a occupational health and safety management system that makes it effective. Policy, we're going to be looking at responsibilities, we're going to be looking at arrangements. Now, 2.1, we're going to be looking at occupational health and safety management system. By way of introduction to occupational health and safety management systems, we are going to be looking at the PDCA cycle, the plan, do, check, and act cycle, where P stands for what you are as a plan, what you want to do, or what you are going to do. Bring all the things you want to carry out, have it in a plan, ensure that it is documented, and then that which you have planned, do it, implement it. That's actually what do stands for. Implement it. Now, while implementing it, you have to check if what you are doing is in accordance with what you have planned, right? And then act. Take for instance, when you check, probably there are some things that are not in line with what you have planned. You incorporate them to ensure that the system improves. So that's why it's called the PDCA cycle. You keep recycling the system, and it keeps helping you to run. And before you know it, you are refining it. It becomes an up and running system. Okay. Now, the ILO Occupational Safety and Health 2001, looking at the ILO Occupational Health and Safety Management System. Here we're looking at the elements of health and safety management systems, which we use an acronym to remember it, to always have it in mind. POPE, AAPOPE, AA, where P stands for policy, the O stands for organizing, the second P stands for planning and implementing, and E stands for evaluation, has to do with checking, audit, and all that. And then the first A there stands for audit, while the second A stands for action for improvement. So P has to do with the policy, set policy, what you want to achieve, what the company seeks to achieve, so that everybody knows what they are all about. And then organizing has to do with looking at the organogram, who does what, who's responsible for what, and the reporting line. Planning and implementing, that's where you actually carry out arrangement for different things, arrangement for accident investigation, arrangement for first aid, arrangement for drill, arrangement for loan working, arrangement for provision of welfare facilities, arrangement for permit to work and all, what have you, first aid and all that. And evaluation has to do with checking. Check what you have planned, what you have said you are going to be doing, if you are carrying it out in accordance with what you have written down. And then audit has to x-ray the system, check its part, check if it is working in accordance to plan, and whatever is there that is not in accordance to plan, it brings it out, it x-rays it and brings it out, and then all the recommendations from audit are now acted upon and then implemented. That's why you see actions for improvement. Now, just a brief description of what I just talked about. Now, policy has to do with clear statement of commitment to health and safety, organizing roles and responsibilities for health and safety at all levels in the organization, planning and implementing detailed arrangement to manage health and safety, risk assessment, and what have you. And then evaluation, method to monitor and review the effectiveness of the arrangement that you have made. How effective are those arrangements? Looking at accident investigation, low working, and what have you. All those arrangements. How effective are they? Audit independent, critical, and systematic review of the management system. Right? Independent, that means it's independent of your organization. Having a fresh pair of eyes, kind of having a consultant to come do this, so that it will be fair, it will be objective, and to bring out what the usual of things as per your system, how it is, and then you now act upon those recommendations. That is the actions for improvement. There are steps to correct issues found in the review, and then continual improvement. This safety management system will develop over time. Now, this is a ISO 45001 model. We just a while ago we looked at 2 slides before this. We looked at the ILO model, which we have used an acronym POP AA. The ISO 45001 model are basically using the same principles, where this has 10 clauses. For clause 1 to 3 are unauditable. From clause 4 to 10 are auditable actually. So clause 4 has to do with the context of the organization, and 5 has to do with leadership, 6 has to do with planning, 7 has to do with support, 8 has to do with operation. That's where you actually carry out all the as you find out in the ILO model, where you have planning implementation. And then clause 9 has to do with internal audit, all right, and 10 has to do with actions for improvement, continual improvement. You can also call 9 as performance evaluation. It's a part of all this, part of audit to check, if you are in the right direction. And then it's in cycles. So when you keep doing it, you see the PDCA cycle, stay there. All right. Now, so we've come to the end of module 2.1. We're looking at the key elements of ILO operational health and safety management system. We said is POP AA. Please remember that POP AA, where P stands for policy, O stands for organizing, the other P stands for planning implementation, while the E stands for evaluation, the first A stands for audit, and the next A stands for actions for improvement. Now, element 2.2, making the management system work, the health and safety policy. Now, we're looking at policy in isolation. So, introduction to health and safety policy. Policy is an important document. Health and safety policy is an important document. The foundation stone for good health and safety management in an organization. It is the foundation stone for good health and safety management in an organization, because it sets out the organization's aim, what they tend to do, what they tend to achieve, right? And identify who is responsible for achieving these aims. States how the aims are to be achieved. Take for instance, we say this is an automobile company, where we produce high class automobile. Everybody is aware that this company is an automobile company, and they tend to produce automobiles, high quality automobiles, and everybody will understand their roles and responsibility in contributing and ensuring that the company produce high class automobiles. Now, specific to each organization's requirements, all right, each organization will have different activities, so the policy will also capture all that. So, not to be confused with the policy in operational health and safety management system model. And we're treating policy in isolation here now. Now, why might the health and safety policy of two organizations be different? Why isn't there a prescribed one-size-fits-for-all approach to developing a policy? If you understand what this question is requiring from you, you know that yes, they might be the same company, but because they are probably they may not be of the same size, they might not be operating in the same location. They may, you know, their operations may have very exposure to different and are subject to the terrain and all that. So the policy cannot be the same. Looking at the big or a big hospital and a small hospital, because of the size of the big one, the policy will capture other more more specific things in relation to their operations, while the small ones may not have such, right? That's why you must understand that the size, you must consider size, you must consider the number of persons, looking at their type of hazard and all that, and look at their operation. All of these have to be factored in when preparing their health and safety policy. Okay. Having said that, Article 14 or violation recommendation 164 requires employers to set down in writing policy and arrangement for health and safety management, right, where circumstances warrant it, in a readily understood language or medium. The three parts of health and safety policy, this is very important and this is also examinable. States, number one, the first point there talks about statement of intent. That's the first part. That is, what is going to be done? What do you want to do? What do you set to achieve as an organization? And then organization, who is going to do it? Who and who is going to do it? And looking at the organogram, looking at the reporting line, looking at, so there will not be conflicting, there will not be ambiguity in roles or infringing on other roles. Everybody will have their clear understanding of their roles and their reporting line. And then the arrangement, how they are going to do it, is where the main aspect is, where you have risk assessment, you have arrangement for low work, arrangement for flexi, arrangement for accident investigation, arrangement for near miss investigation, arrangement, everything arrangement here. So when you talk about statement of interest, look at what, organizing, look at who, and then arrangement, looking at how. Now, the aspect of intent, setting overall aim and objective, complying with law. Whatever you are doing must comply with the law of the land you are operating in. Otherwise, you will be having issues with the law. Achieving standards. Remind workers at all levels of their responsibilities. Employers have their responsibility to play, employees have their responsibility to play. Signed, and it must be signed and dated by the most senior person, which has to do with ensuring that they are committed to see it work, and they are also going to be providing resources to ensure its effective run. And then it has to be reviewed regularly. Now, setting smart objectives, specific. Looking at smart objective, the S there stands for specifics, clearly defined, precise, measurable towards a target quantified and achievable. It can be done. They're reasonable within time scale and resources, and then time bound deadlines. I think, for instance, I want to ensure that ACs in a particular office works from January to December. So, in order for me to ensure that it works like that, I will not say every quarter I will carry out a maintenance exercise to ensure that this AC are up running for the for the whole year. Okay. Now, e.g., review of all take for instance, we are reviewing all 48 risk assessments within 12 months period. All right. There's time, specific, and it's measurable. At the end of the 12 months, you carry out an audit and check, okay, how many risk assessments did you carry out? We targeted 48. Did we get up to 48? If yes, fine. If not, what happened? What didn't you do right? What led to our not being able to achieve our target and all that? That's how to set objectives. Now, it will be important to consider who is going to set the objectives, how objectives will be set at each functional level, legal and other requirements, hazards and risks, technological options, financial and operational and business requirements. What I wonder what financial implication if you want to carry out risk assessment review 48 risk assessment in a 12 calendar month. All right. So view of interested parties, looking at internal and external interested parties. For external, you look at the permits, government agencies like DPRO and all what have you. Looking at you having stickers, looking at registration, whatever, so that what will make your operation uh, go seamlessly without any interruption. So you going to look at all the requirements, even in compliance with the law, what the law says when you are doing assessment and all that other stuff. You must have all this in mind when you're setting objectives. Target may be included in a statement of intent, looking at process now, to show commitment to improvement. What target could be included? General examples only needed. Target probably you would say you want to have zero accident or zero incident, and all that. You want to have 20 near miss each month. Why? Because you want to encourage that near miss reporting, and then to deal with that near miss level, looking at the accident and incident triangle, so that at that near miss level you deal with any issues that has to do with near miss, so it will not escalate to the middle and then the upper uh, level, which could be major incident or fatality. Looking at this incident triangle, says the 2015 review says for every 189 near misses, there are 7 minor injuries which can range from bruises, scratches, and all what have you. And then uh, one for each of those 7 minor, you have one which could be major incident, and then possibly fatality. Now, so looking at organizational role and responsibility, outlines the chain of command for health and safety management system. Was looking at the 3 parts of a health and safety management policy. Okay, health and safety policy. Then identifies the roles and responsibility of staff. Usually includes an organizational chart relating to what health and safety. Show the line of communication and feedback. Who is reporting to who and all that. This is a typical example of such organogram. See at the apex is the managing director, you have directors, you have managers, supervisors, employees, and here in between you have the safety advisor who reports to director, who has a link to director, so that whatever he is carrying out, because he is the man that provide resources to run the system, all right, at all these levels. Whatever he suggests may be cool frustrated, but because he has an interface, if you have a committed leadership, then he provides and gives instruction to ensure that resources are provided and safety is given priority so as to be effective and all that. Defines responsibility for the CEO or the MD, who ultimately is responsible and accountable. Management, responsible for the day-to-day the day-to-day running. So management are responsible for the day-to-day management. All employees are responsible for acting safely. Competent persons, first aiders, fire marshals, etc. Uh, you know, designated people who or members of staff who are so trained with special skills to attend to people have first aid issues, people who help in ensuring that people get out of building when there's emergency like fire, and other special skills like the HSC executive and all that. Specialists, health and safety practitioners, responsible for providing advice to support management and employees. Now, arrangement topics that fall under this arrangement, the list on ending, carrying out assessment, information and instruction training, accident and near miss reporting, recording and investigation, conversation with worker, developing safe system of work, procedures and all of you, welfare and first aid provision, fire safety and provision, emergency procedure, compliance monitoring, including auditing. Now, individual activity. Can you think of any other specific health and safety hazard? So we're looking at so many things that could fall under this arrangement part, right? Because I said these are not it's on ending the subject to your workplace. Even arrangement for radioactivity, X-ray, welding, fabrication, cutting operation, work at height, all what have you falls under this category. I meant for specific bridge problems, low working, noise, exposure control, vibration exposure control of exposure, toxic materials, control of crowd, control of transport risk, specific health surveillance requirement, waste disposal. Health and safety policies. How can a policy be effectively communicated? When should they be reviewed? Now, looking at review of health and safety policy, there are some conditions you must consider. What is a change in key personnel? Maybe the top manager who signed the policy. It has the policy has to be reviewed. If there's a change in management structure, you have to review it. If the process is probably your particular process is an outdated process and you need to having a new process, you have to review the policy. If there's a change in technology, you have to review the policy. If there's a change in legislation, all right. Take for example, before they used to have halon to fight. They used to use halon to fight fire. But now it has been outlawed, so you have to also review the policy. Following an incident, as a result of enforcement action, take for instance, your company has been sanctioned and maybe agency executive in our case, factory inspectors come and says you need to change your procedure of your game, your way of doing things, all right, and probably they have served you a prohibition which said that until you have a new technology in place, you are not allowed to work. So you have to review your policy. After an audit, probably the audit recommendation says policy has to be reviewed, change of work process, change of whatever. After workers conversation, when you are considering workers and note issues that has to do with their health and safety, and probably you also sought for their input concerning a technology you want to adopt, and then they give their input, you review your policy. After passage of time, usually annually, because you cannot use the previous year policy to work in the current year, it will seem outdated. And then module 2.2, what are the three key parts of a health and safety policy? We said three key parts of a health and safety policy. We're looking at statement of intent, organizing, and arrangement. Statement of intent, what do you want to achieve? Organizing, who is responsible for what? An arrangement has to do with how you're going to be carrying it out. So what type of targets might be referenced in the policy? And here we looked at those. We looked at targets. Well, we set another example. All right. Looking at review of 48 risk assessment within a year. Okay. Similar. And targets, you may look at delivering training to our workers, have a specific time, development of compensation process to engage workers, benchmarking against other organizations, and what have you. So, having said that, we come to an end of element 2 of IGC 1, and in this element we have looked at the ILO Occupational Safety and Health 2001 Occupational Health and Safety Management System, which can be summarized as policy, organizing, planning, and implementation, evaluation, actions for improvement, and audit. We also outlined the ISO 2001 Safety Management System, looking at the context of the organization, leadership, and worker participation, planning, support, operation, performance evaluation, and improvement. Also identify the occupational health and safety policy of an organization as an important document which sets out what the organization aims are with regards to occupational health and safety. Who is responsible for achieving those aims? How those aims are to be achieved. We also explain the policy that policy is usually presented in three parts: the general statement of intent, the organization section, and the arrangement section. We also noted that occupational health and safety policies have to be reviewed in order to stay current and relevant, and that reviews might be carried out periodically or in response to changes. Having said that, we come to the end of element 2 IGC 1. Thank you.